The Percy Jackson series on Disney Plus just released its teaser trailer for its third season. And in this video, I'll be breaking it down to see what we can expect for season 3, which is coming out on November 20, 2026. It's just a 2-minute teaser, but honestly, this might be the best one yet if you ask me. If you've been in my channel for quite a while now, then you know that I've been covering the PJO series updates on season 3 in past videos, and I'll link the playlist down below if you want to stay updated. Last thing before getting into it, there will be spoilers for the Titan's Curse, or the third book of PJO, or the book season 3 is going to adopt. And with that, let's get into it. The trailer starts with this shot of the Disney Plus logo in what looks like an abandoned area. We see Percy and the rest walking up to the camera, and it's a really quick moment, but book fans like me would have recognized this place instantly as the Junkyard of the Gods. The junkyard was located in a desert, which explains why there seems to be a lot of sand in this shot. And seeing that Percy and the rest are just about to enter this place, this must be when they first arrived. The trailer continues in the same place as we see Percy Jackson himself, who is played by Walker Scobell. Around Percy, we get to see more of the junkyard, but before breaking this shot down, we had to know a little bit more of what this place really is. The Junkyard of the Gods is a place where Greek gods dump broken or defective devices, and most of them were from the god of craftsmanship, Hephaestus. So all of the items around Percy here were probably once inventions or powerful things that are now garbage to the gods. And now, let's break down what's in the shot. Behind him over here is what seems to be a shield with Medusa's head. Medusa is a Gorgon, and we actually met her in the first book and season of PJO, and one thing to note about Medusa is that you should never look into her eyes or you'll get turned to stone. This is also why Medusa's head is often called a spoil of war, because it's a part of a monster that doesn't disintegrate when killed and can be used in battle. In Greek mythology, we know that Athena often uses Medusa's head on a shield, which is called Aegis. And in the Riordanverse, we know that there have been copies of this original shield. The most prominent example being Thalia Grace's Aegis shield, which we actually got to see in the second season. But seeing this shield now in the junkyard, this must be one of the copies, but is now considered garbage. In the book, there were a lot of items here, which is why, behind Percy, we can actually see stacks of them, and that's also why the entire place looks pretty messy. As the trailer plays this shot of Percy, Percy's voiceover talks to us, saying that he had a dream last week.
Last week I had a dream.
This is very reminiscent of how the second season's trailer started as well. There, Percy asked the audience,
You guys get nightmares, right? I usually get ones that tell me the future.
So both trailers point to Percy experiencing weird dreams. And this is accurate, because as a demigod, Percy almost always has weird dreams that help him get information or predict the future. Going back to the trailer though, after the shot of Percy, the trailer then shifts to a cool scene of the Oracle of Delphi announcing a prophecy. What's interesting about this shot is that the Oracle seems to be inside the woods in Camp Half-Blood. And this is surprising for show viewers because in the previous 2 seasons, we've only seen her in the attic at the big house. However, for book fans like me, we all know that this is actually an accurate scene from the Titan's Curse. In chapter 6, an old dead friend comes to visit. We see Percy and Thalia have a capture the flag game against the Hunters of Artemis. And in this game, Percy and Thalia actually got into a heated argument that led to a fight. However, they were interrupted by the Oracle of Delphi, who suddenly appeared in the woods and announced a prophecy, which is the prophecy that this book will center around. This latter detail is interesting, because in the trailer, Percy tells us that he had a dream last week about the Great Prophecy, or the prophecy the whole series centers around, before showing the Oracle in the woods.
Last week I had a dream. That was about the Great Prophecy.
But in the book, this moment with the Oracle was the Oracle announcing the prophecy for this specific book, and therefore not the Great Prophecy. And I thought of pointing that out. After all of these, we see our next shot, and it's the Hall of the Gods on Mount Olympus. In the book, this room had a throne for each Olympian god, and they all circle around a hearth, which is supposed to represent Hestia or the goddess of the hearth. In PJO Season 1, we already saw a glimpse of this throne room in episode 8, and we see Zeus's throne here in the center, and the rest of the gods have their own seats. When I first saw this, I was kinda disappointed because the thrones didn't look like how the books described them. In the book, each throne was supposed to be tailored to each god, but the others here look pretty standard. Also, another question is, why is the hearth all the way to the side? It's supposed to be here in the center. But either way, given the shot, I was pretty surprised by how the throne room looked like in this new trailer. They made it silver instead of the darker theme they were going for in Season 1, and I'll just name the 3 gods we see here. On the left is Poseidon, or the god of the seas, played by Toby Stephens. The middle here is obviously the king of the gods Zeus, played by Courtney B. Vance. And the last one here is Hera, or the goddess of marriage, played by Ming-Na Wen. Speaking of Hera, this is the first time we'll meet her in the show, and she actually only appears in one chapter at the Titan's Curse, which is the scene in this trailer. After this, the trailer then shifts to a scene of the Titan Atlas holding up the way of the sky. Atlas is the main antagonist of the book alongside Kronos, and he was cursed to hold the way of the sky as a punishment after rebelling against the gods. This punishment is also known as the Titan's Curse, and yes, that's why the book is named the way it is. After Atlas, we see a quick look at Grover Underwood, played by Aryan Simhadri, Zoe Nightshade, played by Sarah Chaudhry, Thalia Grace, played by Tamara Smart, and Bianca D'Angelo, played by Olive Abercrombie. If you look closely at the back, you'll see what seems to be a plane, and it says US Air, which means that this scene takes place in the National Air and Space Museum, and it's a moment taken straight from the book. Some other things I want to note is that Zoe's entire outfit is extremely book accurate. Like, if you look at Sarah Chaudhry here in this shot, and the official fan art we have of Zoe Nightshade, it's honestly so spot on that I love it. Another thing noteworthy is that Bianca D'Angelo is wearing an orange Camp Haplet shirt, which I found interesting mainly because by this point, she would have been part of the Hunters too, and would have most probably worn the same outfit Zoe is wearing right now. Also, this scene must be moments before they were attacked by the Nemean lion, or a fierce monster from Greek mythology, who was sent there by Kronos and Luke to attack the group. In the book, Zoe and the rest ended up fighting the monster, and Percy eventually jumped in to help too. Going back to the trailer though, Percy's voiceover tells us that something bad is coming, and we see him rush into the scene with his sword Riptide. In this shot, Percy is wearing a suit, and we already saw him wear the same thing in the very first Season 3 teaser. But first, let's get context. The Titan's Curse, and I'm talking about the book, starts with Percy, Annabeth, Grover, and Thalia arriving in Westover Hall, or a military academy in Maine, to pick up the demigods Nico and Bianca D'Angelo to bring them to Camp Haplet. To properly blend in the place, Percy and Annabeth had to dance, which is seen in this teaser. But this rescue mission for the D'Angelos goes very wrong, because they soon realize that Dr. Thorne, or one of the teachers at the school, is actually a manticore in disguise. A fight happens, and this moment of Percy running with Riptide must be a part of the chaos after he danced with Annabeth. After this, the trailer cuts to a long shot of the woods in Camp Haplet. As seen, there's snow in the woods here, and this because this book and season takes place around the winter solstice, which I now realize would probably explain why the thrones suddenly looked silver earlier in Mount Olympus. But anyway, this scene leads up to our first moment with the demigod Nico D'Angelo. Nico was played by Levi Chrysopoulos, and he asked Percy,
"Do you ever get used to all this?"
To which Percy replied,
"Nope."
Which is such a Percy way to say it. This moment must be Percy, Nico, Grover, and the Hunters arriving to Camp Haplet after the attack in Westover Hall. And it's subtle, but you can tell that Percy seems kind of annoyed with Nico in this moment, which is why he only gave Nico a one-word answer. And this because in the book, Nico was a ball of sunshine who kept asking Percy questions about being a demigod. However, Percy wasn't really in the mood to answer anything because by this point, Annabeth had just been kidnapped and he was worried about her. After this, the trailer then shifts to scenes we already saw before. Percy and Annabeth are on the dance floor in Westover Hall, and we've seen scenes like this already in the first teaser for Season 3. From the shot, we see a quick look at David Constable as Dr. Thorne. As I said earlier, Dr. Thorne was a teacher in Westover Hall, but was actually a manticore in disguise, and the people around him must be the other teachers in the school. From Dr. Thorne, the trailer then shifts to a quick look at Annabeth with her knife, and this must be her figuring out the truth about Dr. Thorne after she danced with Percy. This seems pretty evident, because the next shots show Percy sneaking around an office with a sword as if preparing for a fight before we get our first shot of the Nemean lion. And honestly, this looks exactly like how I imagined it in the book. And speaking of the fight, we see a new look of the sequence through a shot of Percy, Grover, Thalia, and Bianca about the fight. One thing I want to highlight is Bianca here, as she's ready with her bow and arrow. And this is noteworthy because by this point, she just became a hunter and she's already ready to take down some monsters. And then we see her first look at Holt McCallany as Atlas. And to be honest, I didn't recognize him at first, mainly because of the armor he's wearing. I don't fully remember what Atlas was wearing in the Titan's Curse, but the graphic novel for some reason made him wear a suit, which is why that was the attire I was expecting. But this shot looks incredible too. After getting more scenes of Percy and Annabeth dancing, we realize that Aphrodite is the one talking in the next voiceover in this part of the trailer. She said,
"Love has the power to start wars, and it has the power to end them. If we're going to survive a war with the Titans, it will be because of love."
And this part is not exactly from the book, but I actually really love these lines. In the book, the scene was pretty simple and almost unserious, because in Percy's perspective, Aphrodite was being pretty dense about the danger they were in. But here, Aphrodite sounds wiser. And speaking of Aphrodite, we actually see her in the next shot, and she's played by Kate McKinnon. Percy tells her,
I think you may be getting ahead of yourself.
as he looks around awkwardly in what looks like a car. This is another moment taken straight from the book, because in chapter 13, we visit the junkyard of the gods. Ares, or the god of war, approaches Percy and tells him that he's going to meet someone in a limousine, who is actually Aphrodite. And this must be where Percy is in the shot. Percy and Aphrodite talked, and throughout the scene in the book, Percy was very awkward, because as the goddess of love, Aphrodite had the ability to change form into the person you find most attractive, which explains why Percy looks pretty awkward here, especially since in the book, Aphrodite was clearly shipping him and Annabeth together into some kind of soap opera for the gods. We then get an incredible scene through the fight against the Manticore, or Dr. Thorne. It looks intense, and we see Annabeth fight with her knife, which is exactly what she did in the book as well, before we see Percy scream her name as she, along with the monster, falls off a cliff. And my god, this looks incredibly book accurate, that it gave me goosebumps just describing this. Like in the book, Percy tries to run to the cliff where Annabeth fell, and right next to him here is Thalia. Both Thalia and Percy were devastated when they lost Annabeth here, as both of them cared about Annabeth. The next shot shows Percy sitting down, worried in what looks like a campsite, and this must be the camp the hunters made for them after the fight against Dr. Thorne. As Percy sits down, there's a voiceover that says,
You didn't want her. You wanted me.
and I think this is Percy thinking that he should have been taken instead of Annabeth, which again shows his fatal flaw of personal loyalty, a detail that the second season already expanded upon around episode 5. The trailer then shifts to an incredible shot of the Hoover Dam, and two people riding on what must be the angel statues in the book. Percy and the rest use these statues as a means of transportation, and the Hoover Dam is an iconic location for this book because of the infamous dam jokes that started here. In the book, Percy, Grover, Thalia, and Zoe were all tired from their quest, and they ended up in the Hoover Dam, where they started making some damn puns, like the damn snack bar, the damn t-shirt, the damn french fries, and so on. And last time, Craig Silverstein, or an executive producer of the show, was asked if there would be damn jokes, and he had said, damn right. So honestly, I'm already excited. And then, we see Percy pick up Annabeth's knife from underwater, which must be where Annabeth dropped it after she fell off the cliff. After this, we see an interesting moment of Thalia and the god of war, Ares, and Grover looks terrified behind them. Looking at it right now, I'm not sure what this scene is supposed to be, because Ares only appears in that one scene where he asked Percy to meet Aphrodite, but that was really it. So I guess you have to wait and see to know what's happening here. Moving on, we see a thrilling moment in the junkyard of the gods, as Percy runs around from falling towers of broken machines. And this must be the part of the chaos that occurred after Bianca accidentally wakes up a giant robot called Talos. And what's even cooler is that we actually see Talos in this shot, and the robot looks incredible. After a quick moment of Nico looking out a window in Camp Haplet in awe, as this is his first time in camp, we see more scenes of the fight in the National Air and Space Museum through a look of Bianca ready to shoot a monster, and then Percy fighting off Atlas's men, and Thalia ready to fight with her spear. This latter scene with Thalia seems to be a different moment, but this must be another fight against Atlas's men, before we see a quick scene of Zoe and Percy possibly in Camp Haplet. And then, we get an incredible first look at Bessie, or the Ophiuchtaurus. One major part of the book is the Ophiuchtaurus, or an ancient monster who was said to have the power to defeat the gods if someone killed and burned its entrails. Percy sees this creature a couple of times in the book, and nicknamed him Bessie without knowing the creature's true powers. From Bessie, the trailer moves on to a sweet moment of Bianca hugging Nico, and this must be a scene that happens before she joins the hunters on the quest to save Artemis and Annabeth. Oh, and speaking of Artemis, the Percy series Instagram page actually posted a separate photo for her, and honestly, she looks pretty accurate to how I imagine her. After Nico and Bianca's scene, we get a quick look of Grover using his panpipes, which he got from the previous season when he was on the search for a pan, before getting an epic scene of Percy riding a wave as he throws Riptide in the air. This is insane, but this right here is the Percy Jackson we all know from the books. I mentioned in my old season 2 reviews that I wish the show utilized more of Percy's powers instead of just relying on a good old sword fight, and I think they listened, because this looks exciting. The trailer then goes back to the fight against Dr. Thorne, as we see a quick look at Dr. Thorne transforming into the Manticore, before we see Annabeth possibly about to fight him. And then, we get an intense moment of Luke holding up the Way of the Sky, and this is actually referring to a dream Percy had of Luke. Luke was holding up the Titan's Curse, and he actually tricked Annabeth into taking up the weight for him in the book. After quick shots of Percy running, we see a pretty quick fight scene of Percy kicking down a guy who was probably part of Atlas's forces, before we get a scene of Thalia pushing Percy into the water with a scream. This part made me pause the video, because it's exactly like I imagined it in the book. As I mentioned earlier, Thalia and Percy had a huge argument after capturing the flag that they actually had a fight, and Thalia did use her powers on Percy. The trailer ends with scenes from the Junkyard of the Gods as we get a chilling voiceover from Annabeth.
If it came down to a choice between me and Olympus, you'd burn it to the ground.
And just a note, Annabeth said this because of what Percy said in Season 2, Episode 5, when they were discussing his fatal flaw of personal loyalty. There, Percy had said,
If I choose between saving you or saving Olympus, I burn it all down.
And I just know that Percy fans all around are very happy. Our last scene is Thalia asking Grover,
Is this how quests normally go?
which is obviously her judging Percy from afar, because as I mentioned in my previous videos, Thalia and Percy often argued in this book. And what's even funnier is Grover's response, as he says,
Pretty much.
and that's how the trailer ends. The trailer has made me even more excited for this upcoming season, and to be honest, I think this is my most favorite trailer so far. So how about you? What do you think of this trailer? Let me know in the comments down below.